This is a 2004 Fairline Phantom 46, and it's a great example of a very straightforward, family-friendly cruising Flybridge boat. So well worth having a look at. And it also shows us the kind of thing that Fairline were building in around the early part of the century. So well worth seeing, and what's interesting about it is just how nice it still looks. The styling on here I think is excellent, the way they've curved these windows around, the way they've done these engine vents. It's a boat that's really stood the test of time. It's not fashionable, it's just stylish. I think it looks great. So we'll go on board and do the full tour, but whilst it's out the water, we'll have a look at a couple of things. For example, the fact that this one is a conventional shaft drive. When I talk about shaft drive, this is what I'm talking about. So the engines are up at the front here, gearboxes on the back, and the shaft exits. We often see that when I'm showing you around the boats. We don't often see what's on the other side. So the shafts come through the hull, as you can see, and they come back down. You've got propellers on the end and rudders behind that, all dead simple. And in fact, these are what they call tunneled propellers, because they've actually created slight tunnels. You can see the shape of it here. That allows the propellers to be a little bit nearer the hull, and that allows the shaft angle to be reduced so it's as flat as possible. And these here are the trim tabs. So these are like ailerons. They lower down at the push of a button, and that helps to adjust the trim of the boat when she's cruising at speed. Anyway, let's head on board and we will do the full tour. There is a boarding ladder under here. We're not using that, we're using this ladder just because it's a little bit too high for the boarding ladder to reach. And then we've got the bathing platform here. This is a passerelle. This is stern to boarding from a quay, but it also means you can use it as a crane to lift a tender on and off. That's what these snap shackles here are for. This one's got the canopy on, so you can see how this encloses at the back. So the weather's not so good, or you're leaving the boat, this turns the cockpit area into a fully enclosed area. And that is why they have the hatch that lowers down here, so that all this can be enclosed and fairly weatherproof. We're going to take a look on the inside first of all. It's got the single sliding door that slides across, as you can see, to open these two areas. And then this is the inside. Very typical of a boat of this era, with this polished wood and the light leather. It's very nicely done. This table you can extend by lifting the leaves up at the end. You can see the one at that end, and then there's supports to hold those in place. And then you've got seating on the other side as well. TV in here. This is a fridge for your saloon. And then this is a little bar heater. That's just to give a bit of warmth on here in the winter when the boat's not being used, so that's why that's there. If we move that out of the way, it's cold at the minute, fortunately. A little bar area in behind there. And then the galley is up on this deck, and there's a reason for that, which I will show you in just a moment. But what that gives you is storage in places like this and here. And then you've got your fridge freezer, you've got your cooker and your hob. That's all electric. And so that makes for a nice little galley area. And then the helm is up here. Quite sensibly, what they've done here is they've split the helm seat. So rather than having to go around and climb over whoever's driving the boat to get to that seat, you can just come up through here and get to either of them. And a fairly comprehensive helm position. You've got your engine instrumentation up here. The switch panel for all your electrics is here, for your battery systems on the left, and your shore power systems over there on the right. And then of course the throttles on the centre here. That's the controls of those trim tabs that I showed you, VHF radio and the rear marine screen and so on. So that's the lower helm. There's another helm position up on the Flybridge, but of course this means that you've got great weather protection. The weather's not quite so nice, it's a bit cold, a bit rainy. You can stay nice and dry and warm and drive the boat from there. Now this is actually a 3 cabin layout. That's why the galley is up here, because what that does is it makes room for cabin 3, which are these bunks in here. And there's a bit of storage in here as well, like so. But that, for a mid 40-foot boat, gives you 3 cabins, which is very useful, particularly if you've got obviously more than 2 children, because cabin 2 is on this side. That's a larger cabin, and that has got 2 single beds in. That, I think, is the sunbed cushions for the foredeck, so that's why they're in there, just to keep them dry and nice. And then there's a wardrobe in this one. That's in behind here. There's some bedding in it. And also access to the day heads through here as well. So this cabin has an ensuite at night. And we can see that one. We're going up through here, and it's in here. nicely finished. You've got a separate shower stall over there. That rotates around, so it keeps the rest of the compartment dry. Your loo obviously, and your sink. And again, bits of storage tucked away in places like this. And that is that door then into cabin 2. So at night, this is ensuite, or it's shared, of course, with cabin 3 if that one's in use. And then finally, if you go right to the front, this then is the owner's cabin. I like that they've done the woodwork in here. I like this, the way they've curved this and these rails that go around here. All looks very classy. There's a hatch up above for ventilation, or another way out of this deck. You've got reading lights up by the bed. You've got obviously lights up in the ceiling as well. And then in terms of storage, wardrobe in behind here. Fitted a TV on this one as well on the door. And then there are drawers down underneath the bed, like so. And that's some of these bar heaters, just so you can keep it warm in the winter. As I say, you wouldn't have those when you're actually using the boat. It's just to keep a little bit of heat in here when it's not being used. And this is the ensuite. So again, you've got your rotating shower screen, and you've got your loo and your sink and your storage, pretty much the same as the other one. So that's the cabin. You'll be wondering about these hatches in the floor, so we'll have a look. Those are access to things like that, I think, is the holding tank for the toilets. So it's just in case you need to do any maintenance. And then this one here, similar sort of thing. In this case, it is bilge pumps and more plumbing. And there's hinges on here as well, so let's lift that one up. Okay, that's more storage. That, I think, is the Flybridge cushions. We'll have a look in a minute when we go up on top. Okay, so let's head out of here and we'll go and take a look at that Flybridge and the deck areas. I like the way they've done these steps. They're just big, solid chunks of wood that take you up and onto the Flybridge. So up here, it's all covered up at the minute because the boat's obviously not in use. It's out of the water and for sale. But you've got seating that runs across here. So double seated at the helm and another seat either side. Steering wheel you can see there, obviously throttle controls, engine instrumentation, that kind of thing are all underneath there. This is just to keep everything nice, so if it rains, then it doesn't get damaged. There's a wet bar over here. So that's a barbecue and a sink, and you can see there's a fridge in the front there as well. And then, yes, this is the seating area around the back, and that's what those cushions were for. You can see they've been taken off here for the moment, just to keep them nice. But seating all the way around there, and a table in the centre. And then up at the front, that is where your foredeck cushions would go, in the centre on there. Let's go and take a look at the engines. So we're back down here. I'll close this one over so you can see how that works. There we go, so that drops like that, and now this whole area, once you roll this down of course, is completely enclosed. Now there's a couple of things to show you here. Firstly, that is a huge storage area, but also the generator lives in there as well. That's that fellow with no step written on it. And in fact, you might have noticed there's a little porthole there. That's because if we lift this one, there is in fact a very small crew cabin. It's only for occasional use, because it is only a 46-foot boat at the end of the day. However, there it is, little sink in there, great for kids or an occasional night. So that's that. And then the engines, they're a little bit further forward. They are under the saloon floor. In fact, I think there are a couple of ways down, so you can go through here. There we go, steps down, and that takes us to the back of the engines. That's just to do quick checks, but actually, if you're doing more maintenance, or indeed just want to have a better look as we do, these panels in the floor lift up. This table is freestanding, so that will move around. Let's move this out of the way and hoik this one up. That's on a gas strut, so it holds it up in place. And this has a pair of Volvo Penta TAMD 75 EDC. The EDC refers to the electronic throttle controls rather than cable. And you'll see there's two of those. There's another one down underneath there. And of course this one lifts up then if you move this out of the way, so that you can access that as well very easily. They are 480 horsepower each, so you've got nearly 1,000 horsepower in this boat, and that's why it does about 30 knots flat out. Cruising, mid-20s, very comfortable. But decent engine room, all very get-atable. Range of a boat like this, typically they're around 300-ish miles plus or minus, that sort of thing. That's at high speed, planing speeds. If you drop the speed right back, of course, you'll get a lot further. Very good. Let's drop that one back down. And I think that just about covers it, really. It's a fairly straightforward boat, but they're very nicely finished, these Fairlines. I like little touches like the fact they put this handrail up here in the ceiling, and the way they're lined is very good. Yeah, it's got a nice feel to it. Excellent. Let's go and finish up here. And I will say thank you to Clipper Marine for organising that tour. You can see them over here up in Swanwick at the minute. That's their office. And thank you as ever to you guys for watching. We'll catch you on another one very soon. Take care. Bye-bye.